Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by Money Myron.
Hello, my name is Myron Fancher. I'm a wrestling podcaster, and I've been chronicling the business for over 7 years now. Oh, sorry. I've been watching too much Dark Side of the Ring. I was practicing for one of these people when they screw up.
You were so in that way when they call you for your
yes,
your little.
I'm ready to go.
Is it a testimonial? What do they call it?
I'm ready to do the Dave Wills Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah, I'm ready, Dave.
I think we have a lot of we could call in Rafe and a lot of the top guys that we could call you and that we got that would be a good one. The Dark Side of the Ring, Dave Wills. It's still real to us, damn it. There you go.
Brought to you by Fantasy Lab. The
exactly.
makers of fine chairs everywhere.
That's right, man. Hey, speaking of bringing it, stuff being brought to you by, let's lead off this week's episode with our, look, we've got a couple there on the screen, as you probably see, but we were right now, because, look, we just had a conversation off air about podcast hosting and, like, getting paid and, monetizing your podcast, and I was trying to explain to Myron, I'm like, why, like, especially if you're a startup, for one, these people we were discussing were not startups. That's a whole other rabbit hole we're not going to go down. But if you're a startup and you're looking to get monetized, like, pretty quickly out of the gate, like, man, why would you not sign with Libsyn? They make everything so easy between uploading the content, monetizing, just the distribution, everything. Oh, and by the way, if you use the promo code TAPPED, that's right, TAPPED, TAPPED, right now and go sign up, they'll give you up to 2 months for free over at Libsyn.com. I'm like, it's a no-brainer, right?
Yep. Well, it's gotten to the point now they just pay us our royalties on a quarterly basis. But when you get in on the ground floor, folks, these people are attentive to your needs, and these people can give you everything you want, and they can get your podcast out there where people can listen to it at very little from you. So this is the way to go, top to bottom, the way to go.
Yeah. You get what you pay for, and that's why I say Libsyn.com, promo code TAPPED, get up a couple months, up to a couple months for free. It'll be the best decision you made if you're a podcaster for sure. But listen, Myron, not everybody listens to podcasts on podcast platforms. Some people apparently like our show on YouTube.
Yes.
Over there at youtube.com, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. We always tell you, like it, subscribe to it, turn your notifications on. Heck, even become a member, get some of those cool articles, that they're out there. The other little bonus stuff, get the show early. All that cool stuff that's going on. Hey, I promised content behind the paywall, and we're delivering it now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The amount of stuff coming out, I can't even keep up with it. I've been trying to read all the articles when they come out. They've got ahead of me. Our writer is turning out so much, Nick.
Yeah. Lots of stuff churning it out pretty much every day between art, stories, review. And I love the fact, because, look, we've told people, like, we're going to start doing a little more than just wrestling. There's movie stuff, there's video game stuff, so it's a little bit sports stuff. Can't wait for football season to start, because I'm a big football guy, so cannot wait. And I'm ready just to dive right into it, man. That's especially when football season gets here, college and pro, both.
Well, I got a bunch of stuff that I picked up for streaming during Prime Day, and I'm thinking, maybe we should look into that too. I have some fun doing some Q&As or something. So I don't know if I got some stuff going on, we might work out something. Not that I have anything I can answer. I might ask these people questions, see how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. You could ask the people joining. You could ask them questions, right? Yeah. But listen, man, lots of stuff going on this week. But look, again, before we get started, we're going to go a little out of order. I want to get this on the early part of the show to make sure nobody misses it. Big stuff down in Augusta, September 30th. Super excited. I've actually got to reach out to them. I've got some questions that we were discussing yesterday in the car on the way out to Southern Fried. But Augusta, Georgia, September 30th, right there at the American Legion. Our friends over at Canicon, they're a-coming, folks.
Oh.
Hey, Augusta, have you heard the big news? September 30th, Canicon is coming right there to 90 Millage Road, right there in Augusta. That's right. That's the American Legion, Post 63, right down the road. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., that's part of the big chunk of the festivities. Don't forget, however, at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., live concert will be by Radio Cult right there in the building as well. What's going on this year? Great stuff, including for the first time ever in Georgia. Do you remember the crazy movie back when we were kids, Maximum Overdrive? The Green Goblin head that was there, right there on the 18-wheeler, will be for the first time ever. It will be there. Yes, the original prop from the movie will be right there at CanaCon. Also, look, CanaCon is really famous for its cosplay championship, and for the first time ever, they're going to take it to a whole nother level. Not only will second and third place get trophies, first place will be crowned with the CanaCon Cosplay Championship belt. That's right, championship belt for for the big winner. But hey, look, don't worry about it. Look, the kids are also they're not going to be left out. They got a cosplay specifically for the kids, and they will have a champion as well. And for the first time ever, there will be a Fans Choice Award, like a Fans Choice Prize. So you, the fans, will actually determine one of the winners as well. Special guests are Radio Cult, Kelly Graham, Randall Bishop, Specs Thomas, and many, many more. All of that's going down right there at CanaCon, September 30th, 90 Millage Road, Augusta, Georgia. That's right there at the American Legion. You definitely don't want to miss out. CanaCon 2023 is coming to Augusta, Georgia. That's right, man. We're looking forward to it. Like, we're going to do everything in our power. We're looking forward to being there, man. It's going to be a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, I'm dying to see what's going on. Also, next time you talk to them, if it's not going to be a surprise for me, could you find out what Porco and Knockers is?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Is that a concessions, like a food truck?
I don't know. I'll ask them. I'll put that on my list, man. I'll put that on my list.
Because I love barbecue.
Yeah. Who doesn't love good barbecue, right? Speaking of that, good to see old Ted last night at Southern Fried as always.
Yeah, and David Manners was tearing it up with his homemade barbecue, selling all that pork last night. God, they got to it. Second match, they sold out of his pork barbecue. I didn't even get a chance. I don't know why I don't come hungry anymore. I'm gonna have to start coming hungry.
Yeah, especially. I mean, look, let's. We're really going to break the mold, go completely out of order. We're going to start with Southern Fried, so
so much fun.
Yeah, the crowd was on fire, man. Look, a lot of great stuff. The main event. Look, I'm the first to admit, and I tell people this on a regular, so this ain't a surprise. I am not the biggest fan of Iron Man matches.
Me neither. I have ADD as hell as an adult. God.
It's difficult to do and make it work. But of all the things we talked about it, no knock on anybody else in that building, but like the right two guys were put there to make it work, and it did work.
Oh, and Todd we trust also. I mean, if you could have had some people, if you could have picked people that were going to put something together like that, everyone concerned and everyone involved with that were the right people. There were people who've worked together forever, people who've been working on this. It was a magical thing because, we've been making content for a long time. And just when you're making content, a lot of times it's hard to get people to pay attention to anything over 15 minutes long. Okay. 12 minutes, 10 minutes. It's hard to get people. I mean, we have an established listener base that will stay for the whole show. But we just a drivel.
Yeah, but statistics show that that's not a normal thing.
No,
like there are people that listen to blocks and chunks.
Yes.
Yeah,
but you can't. An hour long, and I had this feeling. It's like, God, it's July in Georgia. Now that I'm always amazed at how cool that place stays and does not get hot even in July in Georgia. So it was very comfortable in there. And the crowd didn't get lost. I was assuming people would wander off, go smoke a cigarette, go get a sandwich or something at the concession stand, get a Coke, go to the bathroom. No, that did not happen. People stayed there and watched the entire match. They went out in the crowd just to freshen people up a little bit, keep them going. Everything was coordinated perfectly. If you're gonna suspend your suspension of disbelief and just look at it from a business and a match quality viewpoint, they could not have done a better job with that.
I
I was
look,
entranced.
we had fans sitting behind us telling us, they were like, that could be the match of the year. That could be,
Yeah, yeah,
very good story, broken into pieces is what I like. The match
yeah,
was broken into segments. That was really well done. I mean, look, Nick Kalen, he's wrestler of the year.
yeah.
Adrian Hawkins, we've always talked about how he was the most hated, heel that Southern Fried had. And then, of course, the magic of that pendulum swinging
Yep.
from one side to the other. When you're that
Hmm.
hated, you're that beloved. And they went out there and they delivered. And that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's when you put somebody in those matches, that's the challenge. And,
Dude, it was such a phenomenally great show. And every time I go there, I realize that I might walk in that door with these people, and we may not have a damn thing in common, and we may not vote a damn same way, and we may not even pull for the same football team, or we might not like each other anywhere outside that. And society might tell us that we shouldn't get along. But when we walk through the doors of that Boys and Girls Center, we are all Southern Fried Wrestling fans, and we are one. And that's something you can't create anywhere.
all right.
Oh, it's so wonderful. And everybody, all the performers work so hard. The
Um,
people love them.
yeah. I mean, and people are so invested into the product because of the story. And it's something that I mention quite often when we talk about Todd, that the thing I love that Todd does is, yes, he tells the great story from beginning to end, but it feels like almost every time when the story ends, it's kind of like it 99% ends. And what I mean by that is, now we are looked at like, okay, so this is over. This had to be their final match, right? You don't do an Iron Man match unless it's the final match. Nick Kalen is like, he's still the reigning Southern Fried Classics champion. He's the new official, he's officially the leader of the approved now. So now what happens? You know what I mean? That's the kicker. It's like the great thing, and Eric Bischoff talks about it a lot of like, well, then what? Like, you've always got to have the then what moment. Because if the story's over, do you have people that just they turn the channel off and they're done? Like,
Yeah.
does somebody been waiting to see this match? Look, everybody's different, right? What if there's a fan there that's like, I want to see this blow up. They have this, it's over. But if you just kind of end it with no, ooh, but now what? Do they come back? You got
Well,
to still get them back.
there's no Super Bowl in wrestling. Okay, wrestling continues 365 days a year. You're not going to get a break where you
Right.
can wait till next season and
Right.
start a whole new story. You've got to keep the story going to keep people coming in. Um, I think Michael Judas is the best champion in independent wrestling. That's my opinion. He's champion of the two major programs in Georgia. That man is respected. He looks like a wrestling champion. He walks like a wrestling champion.
I'm not going to say I disagree, because I don't disagree. But I'll give you another name. And that name's Cruel. That I would stand there and put them aside and say, maybe it's the match we all want to see, to see it. Because that would answer the question. Because my argument would be, look, look, I had a whole argument about why Cruel's the IWTV World Heavyweight Champion, the real one. But so what about those two going at it toe to toe?
Oh Jesus,
So I'm not saying you're wrong, because I said that. I said when Cruel was hurt, right? I said on this show, if I was running an independent promotion, especially in the state of Georgia, or I would even argue South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, that bubble, that Judas would be the guy that I would put my title on.
Yeah,
So,
and then you'd feed him with Cruel.
well, now that Cruel's back, yes, then there's, oh, that's a hell of a problem to have. Who would I put my title on, Cruel or Judas?
And I love the whole thing with the Hunter James story with Judas. That little, no offense, Hunter, but up against Judas, you're the little guy, the little heel, and you're going to have to cheat, and you're going to have to do all this stuff, and you get that no DQ match coming up, and you've got the two the two cheatiness managers working for you. And what I love about Southern Fried is the way the people study the film. I don't know if they're out there. It seems like they're out there studying film, or they're studying other wrestlers, or they're studying technique. Because you see the way Dr. Brock is making Tristan so much a better of a wrestler and so much of a Bobby Heenan like character. And so the mannerisms are right. Hunter's mannerisms are, and I'll talk about Hunter and all these people over and over. Their mannerisms are so good. Their little things are so good. Look at Bryce. Look at Bryce.
Okay.
His heel mannerisms. Pepper Bottom. His heel mannerisms are so good. Just the little bitty things.
But it's things like when I see Hunter James wrestle, look, whether I like him or not, it's not the point, right? It's like, it's irrelevant, but it's like, and what I mean by that, he's the most punchable face in Georgia wrestling at times. He's a little prick. He always has been, and will clearly continue to be. But then you see him wrestle, and you're like, oh, that's a little Shawn Michaels. Oh, that's a little Kurt Hint, Mr. Perfect. Yeah. Oh, that's a little, like you can see a little of it and going like, oh, okay, yeah, he's paid attention, he's watched. Then he breaks out something, you're like, oh, that's a little bit of AJ Styles there. That's Yep. So he's doing his homework, and look, he's putting in the work. Let's and that's kind of why I ponder the question to you when we're talking about that. Is it Hunter James's time? Like, is it his time in Southern Fried, to be the champion?
I think it's time everywhere. I think everybody should be featuring him more. I think you should be seeing him on and I'm not talking about on tiny gym cards all over South Georgia. I'm talking about you should start seeing him on cards on the big shows, on cards in other states, on cards highlighting shows like WrestleCade, on stuff Conrad Thompson's putting on your bigger shows. He should be the one that's on every wrestling show as the security guard right now. He should be the one that's the jobber at every AEW taping. That's just my take on it.
See, me, I've always been I don't like that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't like because you can get beat. I do believe this, and people say that I'm crazy. If you're beat too many times as an enhancement talent on TV, I think it can make an uphill battle that you would rather not get those opportunities. I don't know. Somebody let me know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Let me know if I'm wrong. That's just my take. I don't want to be on AEW getting beat 20 weeks, whatever, and then going like, well, at least I'm on. Now, if that's where you're going to be and you're content with that so be it, but I'm saying so.
Okay, a question. Here's the best question of what we took on last night. How are the grapplers baby faces? Because that's a heel gimmick. They got a heel manager with a damn tennis racket and a glitter jacket, running around like Jim Cornette with two masked wrestlers.
I'll make this argument. I'll make this argument. Why was Stone Cold the babyface? He cheated. He did it. He would do anything that he didn't really change his style. He was always who he was. And I mean, The Rock was that way for the most part. I mean, Ric Flair was that way for the most part. What there are shining examples of is the grapplers are. It doesn't. Now, I think there are certain situations where it matters about your style. Like, here's the thing. I do think, like Hunter James, it matters what style he wrestles, whether he's a babyface or he's a heel. Because if he's a heel and he wrestles back at when he was like the spectacular babyface style, it's hard to hate him because he was that talented. But in some cases, like with the grapplers, it's who you put them up against, and the fans chose them over the other teams. They chose them over JBE. So it's not like the grapplers are going to do anything different. Like, listen, does anybody do a thumb to the eye better than grappler number 2? I'm being funny there because I can't. One or two.
Hell if I know. I was going to say one of them sells really well, but I don't know which one. And that's the damn gimmick. Okay, I was going to say one of them was on the floor for part of the match, but I don't know which one. Because that's the damn. How many times did they change outfits during the course of the night? They came in, sold a bunch of gimmicks, ran back to the room. Then I had on. So confusing me, and that's the damn gimmick. I saw that gimmick as a kid, and I thought it was awesome. And it also made me madder in hell when the heels were doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
But, okay, so here's the thing: they're going to. I guarantee you, the thing that pissed you off about a heel will be done, and you will love it because they're a baby. That you just proved my point, where it doesn't really matter, like how are they heel or how are they, why are they baby faces? How? It's just the situation that they're in. They're, people love them over JBE, right? So it's that simple. It's not that their style is going to change. It's not that they're going to wrestle any different way. I mean, the only thing that's going to change is you're going to get a great experience at the gimmick table with some pictures. Right? That's it. That's the major difference. You go out there and you're going to get a picture with the grapplers now, where you weren't going to get one before. So experience that while you can, because you never know, that might not last forever. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of great stuff going on over there. Look, we can't talk about.
I'm marking out really hard, and on top of it, they set up Ultimate Battleground like, holy shit. They set that up like crazy, and that's going to be the night after Rumblejack, which is Southern Honor's big show, one of their big shows. So, folks, I'm getting two huge Battle Royal shows, one after the other.
Yeah.
Okay? I can't wait. I love those things. When I was a kid, I've always loved the big shows. I can't wait. I think it's probably going to be one of the most important, if not most loved weekends of Georgia wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't wait. I think people are going to be excited for this.
I'm right there with you, because it's going to be, like you said, back-to-back. It's going to be Ultimate Battleground August the 5th. On the 4th, up in Canton, we're going to have the Rumblejack, which is super soaked, which completely I'm going to blow your mind. We're not going to wait till the end of the show. We're going to go ahead and announce our Pro Wrestling Tees shirt of the week this week, simply because it ties into what we just discussed, right?
Yeah.
And that's this week's show. Pro Wrestling Tees shirt of the week is Southern Honor Wrestling's very own This Is Our Wrestling shirt, Myron. I mean, come on. How crazy is that, right? Because here's the thing. There's a reason I chose this shirt this week. I went looking for promotions with shirts on there. There's not as many as I would hope. My challenges to promotions are now, it's not that difficult to get your shirt on there. Get your shirts on ProWrestlingTees.com. But this week, since they're the one that was there, I'm sporting the hat. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, check out Southern Honor Wrestling on Pro Wrestling Tees and pick up not one, but maybe two. Pick up 3, pick up 4 for the whole family. And while you're there, Myron, hey, we're not going to be offended if you pick up one of ours. That'd be awesome.
I'm going to tell you, folks, when I was a poor little fat boy growing up in Alabama, I dreamed of a day where I could get T-shirts in my size, T-shirts of all my favorite wrestlers, T-shirts with Bobby Heenan on them, T-shirts for people like Sal Bernaro, T-shirts for Tom Pritchard. And now I can through this wonderful place called Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah.
They got 5X T-shirts that fit me beautifully, that last forever. Quality T-shirts, not just our brand. I have probably a dozen of our brand shirts. They're on even their store brand their store brand Pro Wrestling T-shirts are wonderful. I always buy 1 or 2 when I buy some of our shirts for wear for our accounts to give to fans. I get some to give to fans. I get some of our friendly wrestlers. I got a Sauernar shirt that y'all gonna die to see.
Yeah, it was a cool shirt for sure.
Oh man, it's just so cool to have a place to go and get stuff like that.
All right, man. Well, let's jump right into it, brother. We're 25 minutes in, and we haven't even hit like the national stuff, and there's a lot to go over. I want to address the SmackDown thing. And
Yes.
I'm probably reading way too much into the tea
I
leaves.
really want to address the SmackDown thing myself.
Okay, well, I'll let you start, man, and then
I
I'll
want
throw
to
in my.
apologize to all my listeners and you, Nick. Nick, I said that SmackDown would do more than Dynamite and Rampage, maybe Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, and it only drew more than Dynamite. It drew over 1 million people. I know I said it would draw a much more, like it typically does, but it didn't.
All right, now I'll be fair. I look, I was right. I don't even know what it really drew. I haven't seen the numbers
It
yet.
drew over 1 million. I'm sorry. I
So
got the numbers. I got the numbers because I'm a dick, and I wanted to prove to you I was right. Uh, the overnight was on it was 1.182 million people.
okay, so now
The
I'll
highest ever ranked SmackDown on Fox Sports 1.
okay.
The demographic numbers were amazing. 448,000 in the key demographic, which I'm not a part of anymore.
Right. So I'll play devil's advocate, and I will buckle a little bit. I know you claimed all 3 shows. I honestly thought here's to be honest with you. I honestly thought Dynamite was going to beat it up straight up. So there's a part of me that was wrong. I didn't say that on the episode, but I thought that there was a good possibility that could happen.
I'm keeping that sound clip about a part of you being wrong because that's the closest I'm gonna get.
That's the closest you're getting.
That's
from
the
me
closest I'm getting to Nick admitting he's wrong about this.
Yeah. And now, but the reasons why is everybody tuned into SmackDown. Look, 2 things. Something's not even on the notes, but I'm going to address it as the why. But I do want to talk about the rules of engagement segment. I don't know that I read too much into the tea leaves here, but something that look, there's a lot of stuff that was going on there. The title clearly appears to be secondary in the story, which is the way it should be. As crazy as that sounds, Jay basically, he's not worried about the title. He wants what's the thing called? The necklace thing? You had it. Anyway.
I looked it up last week and I can't remember.
Right.
It's very
Let's just
important.
call it the tribal leader garb or whatever it's called. Yeah,
it's
the
very
necklace
important.
thing.
It's very important.
It is very much.
Now,
so.
is the title even on the line?
Yes, I think it's all on the line. So it's a winner take all. But here's the thing that I read into something that was said, and I'm interpreting what happened. The reason Jay is so adamant about it's tribal combat, like in Samoan culture, tribal combat means no one can interfere as far as like the family.
I don't even think they can interfere now, right?
I think that's why when he accepted, he stopped Solo from attacking Jay. Because he can't, like you said, he can't get any help from anybody. It's got to be man to man.
Well, he left the necklace on the table there. It's up in the air.
Yeah.
I know, I understand, but they're making it to be a big deal. They're making this to be important. They're making a cultural issue about it. So,
well, it's family. Like it's real.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, personal issues draw money. That's a Jeff Jarrettism. Like, he took from his father, that he took from Jerry. Personal issues draw money. And so it doesn't get any more personal than leading the family.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to be the head of the table. But like I said, the thing really struck me is, did Jay do it? Because think about it. If he goes straight up with him, he knows Solo's probably going to get involved. But with tribal combat, Solo can't get involved. So now he's going to I know I can beat Roman. And now I'm going to get him one-on-one. Nobody can interfere. And I thought to myself, I said, self, but Heyman isn't family. What if, and there's 2 things. What if Heyman gets involved? Because look, we cannot for right now. I still don't know, unless you're going to drop it and put it back on him somehow. You're not taking it off of, Jay's not beating Roman at SummerSlam. That's the prevailing thought, right? Because, we're getting to Mania. By the way, what the fuck happens if we're all wrong? Like, what if Jay does do it? I would be stunned. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd be stunned.
Well,
But
I was just looking at your notes, and you said something about a dusty finish. But if Heyman interferes and pisses Roman off, and and the belts doesn't change hands, I hate to keep marking out and being a goofball, but Jesus, at the drama they continue to do. Now I know Roman's wanting to go away, but I would hate to take the belt off of him as long as the magic is still happening. WWE has this package now, and it's would be so hard to get away from being able to print money. You know,
mm-hmm.
this is their print money deal.
So the two pieces, the two directions I feel like you can go is one, if Heyman interferes, does it cause tensions with Heyman? Let's say it happens and Roman doesn't know and Roman wins. Then is there tension between him and Heyman? Or does Solo say, you stopped me, you got me super kicked, stopping me from getting involved? So does he lose his faith in Roman if Heyman gets involved, and that begins to? Because remember we said slowly but surely Roman has to lose all of the pieces of the puzzle. Solo's next. So how do you do that? And does Heyman get involved, and that begins the path of that he loses Solo? That's my question. I think that's the route I would probably go, because I still stand by my thing. I think the final piece is he loses Paul Heyman at WrestleMania and Cody go heel. I think that's a great spin. That would be, think about it. They build Cody for like a year and a half, coming back as this top baby face, and then basically slam him heel when he captures the gold. That's what I would do. So,
Well, I mean, Roman is becoming sympathetic, regardless if you want to admit it or not. Roman is becoming, when he put those beads out there and took it so seriously, you're starting to see this invulnerable mountain of a man start to become sympathetic, that he's taking this seriously. He's becoming identifiable. I think this is the beginning of the end for him.
oh, we've seen it. We've seen him chip away. Like, he lost Sammy, he lost Jay, he lost Jimmy, or in the Jimmy Jay, kind of the orders flip flop depending on the week, it seemed. If he loses Solo, then he loses Heyman and the titles, and then he realizes what he's done. Like, it takes a man sometimes to hit rock bottom to realize, ooh, did I say that? To get to actually. By the way, hold on. Sidebar: if this SAG writer strike happens, what Rock shouldn't be busy doing anything. Why do we not get Rock and Roman instead of Cody? Right?
I was leaning down to make a cameo spot for our sponsor, our wanting to get us whatever, and you shocked me.
Like, literally, like, if there's nothing being made TV wise, there's nothing being made movie wise. I'm like, I'm sure the XFL's not going to keep him so busy losing money that he ain't got time to do a match. Even
Because you ain't drawing no attention to yourself on the sidelines right now. It probably helps. I mean, you get yourself some. Because every time I see the WWE advertising something, they're advertising USFL on their product, and that might be a TV deal thing.
That's a TV thing, yeah.
But I don't see them ever doing anything for XFL. Maybe they could get some XFL stuff going.
Rock ain't broke. Rock ain't going anywhere. He got plenty of money. But the XFL is losing money. They cancel Young Rock. He's got some bumps in the road. Well, maybe, just maybe, if Hunter and Vince throw him a couple $1 million to show up, because somebody laughed. Somebody thought I was crazy. I had this conversation with somebody, a mutual friend of ours, and they were like, "Oh, it's got to be at Mania." And I go, "Does it?" Saudis would probably pay pretty well for that match to happen at their house, and
shit.
Instead, I'm just saying they would probably rather have it there.
If it's tribal combat at SummerSlam, who all sits around the ring?
Right.
See that?
We'll see.
I mean, it could be The Rock, Rikishi, Ming. How about the Barbarian?
They're not family though. They're not.
They're family.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are, Nick. Kayfabe on the Ixnay.
They're not even kayfabe family. Anyway, so
You have to learn how to like when I'm like giving you the Iggy. And I hate to use wrestling words because I'm not one of the wrestlers. But when I'm trying to tell you they're family, just pretend.
by the way,
What?
John Cena could be joined into that Rock conversation too. By the way, he ain't gonna be doing nothing either.
I was trying to work a can't see him joke in there.
Yeah. Look, real quick before we move on to AEW, I do want to ask you this. I want to ask you about the U.S. title. Somebody was complaining to me about how like it's lost its, they built it for like a year, and then since they put it on Theory, it seems to lost its luster. Blah blah blah. It's not even going to be on the SummerSlam card apparently. Because look, I got the vibe, by the way. Next week, spoiler alert, Santos Escobar is going to beat Rey Mysterio. I think that's how we get to that's how we're going to get to the Rey Dominic thing. Because I think that's where they got to spin them out of. And then I think we spin to Escobar versus Austin Theory. And the crazy thing is that match will probably happen on SmackDown before SummerSlam, like the day before on SummerSlam, before SummerSlam, instead of being on SmackDown. And my argument is, dude, like, this is the same guy, by the way, somebody who completely bitched and complained about pay-per-views being too long. PLEs, whatever. So I'm like, okay, so they're going to boost their TV product by putting a match on that would have normally been on the PLE. Like, how many matches, because, like, what do we joke? Some of the PLEs now are like 5 or 6 matches.
Well, I mean, I'm going to watch it regardless if it's on Friday night or on Saturday night. I got to watch it anyway because I like I like watching it, so I'm going to watch it anyway. Doesn't matter if you put it on Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I know about it might be Santos Escobar versus Rey because was it Dominic? Because you want to put a spin on somebody. I think if you want Santos Escobar is right on the edge of being the new Hispanic babyface. Dom is the guy to work him with.
No, that's why I think he beats Rey. By the way, you said it. I think they're gonna have a 2 babyface match, and I think he'll overcome Rey, win the student will beat the pupil, that kind of the mentor, and they'll shake hands, hug, and Rey's gonna put him over and make him look like, hey, he's picked. He's like passing the torch essentially to him. I think that's why we get that. But I also think as much as I love Austin Theory, if that happens, I also think Santos Escobar is going to have a feud with Austin Theory and eventually dethrone him as the U.S. champion.
I think Theory needs Heyman probably worse than anybody needs Heyman. I'm not saying he can't learn it. I think the guy is multi-talented. Yeah. He just needs experience around. Now, this is me as a fan saying, I think he could benefit from experience around a talker where he could pick up their mannerisms and stuff.
Well, okay, so we'll spin into this because wasn't there a couple episodes of SmackDown where he was with why can I never remember their name? Pretty Deadly. Wasn't he with them for a couple? Like, it seemed like, I know one of them's hurt now, so that's does Austin Theory look? We had a long conversation, and we'll quickly get through it. AEW fans, I promise you, we're getting there. But we had a long conversation about factions in general, and that's an AEW thing they do. And what we were talking about, though, however, is clearly Hunter's a faction fan, for all the right reasons, from experience. It looks like we're possibly getting the Hurt Business back. Look, Street Profits were talking to Bobby Lashley one week. Carmelo Hayes is talking to him one week. If they put MVP back with them, and the reason I went here was because of the mouthpiece, that then you spin out somebody out of that.
Yeah.
Because does Theory benefit from going into some type of a small, even if it's a small faction? Look, you brought up what it's done for. Judgment Day.
Yes.
Like when it started and Edge, think about when Edge left Judgment Day. He's kicked out, whatever you want to say. Everybody shit on it, was like, it's over. And look at him now.
Yes.
You got
Everybody's positioned better.
you got a women's champion. You've got the North American champion in Dom, Money in the Bank, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor, who's wrestling for the world title at SummerSlam.
Yes. It helped Balor tremendously because he needed like not to disappear because he can disappear a little bit. Rhea, it's helped her with her confidence and working on her role this is me just saying what I've seen. Gave Dom more of a chance to be super hated because it's one thing to be hated, but when you've got more people backing you up and over, when you're double teaming people and cheating.
I think those two specifically. I think this goes back to our factions conversation about the person that usually benefits the most spins out as like the guy that you weren't thinking, right?
Yeah.
I think we all believe, by the way, that Damian Priest he was always going to be a star. That was our take.
He didn't need it, in my opinion. He was going to get there.
He's dramatically benefiting, however.
Yes.
But Dominic and Rhea, I don't know what's clicking, like personality-wise, between those two. Their play off of each other is making them, like, Rhea was a great wrestler. Like, nobody doubted that.
Yeah.
The personality and the character development that she's gotten through this Judgment Day thing has made her tremendously better as a sports entertainer, right?
Well, that's the thing. They got a ton of great wrestlers. They've got more great wrestlers than anybody on the AEW is stock full of great wrestlers. But they're just now trying to figure out sports entertainment because sports entertainment draws more people.
And
entertainment is more accessible.
And we'll address that because there's a topic I wanted to nail on that for sure when we get to some of that AEW talk. But the point was, does Theory need that? Maybe Theory needs that because, look, Sheamus, and the Brutes, and I mean, the Judgment Day. We're getting Hurt Business back together. Hurt Locker's a movie. Sorry about that. It's just, group after group, I think we're going to slowly. No one understands probably the value of a faction more than Hunter, and I think you're going to see more and more of that, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because we were talking to somebody last night, and I made the point of saying, like, in that business, the wrestling business, if you were somebody, why would you not team up with your buddies to make friends and have a group to watch each other's backs? One, to watch your back if you're baby faces. Two, to have the numbers advantage if you're the heel. So it makes perfect sense, and I think more people should probably do that. But anyway, now let's spin into the like part we were just talking about. I'm really blowing your mind because I completely jumped all over the outline for the show notes today. So.
I'm not used to Nick jumping. I'm a jumper. You're usually following straight.
So you're talking about how they're figuring out the sports entertainment aspect over in AEW. I think that they're benefiting greatly from it. And it made me think of AEW fans in general, who I am an AEW fan, by the way. What cracks me up?
You're not a demo fan, though.
I'm not in the demo, so that doesn't matter whether I'm watching it or not, but I am a fan. But what I was getting at one day is I said something to somebody. They were like, I hate WWE. Okay. I love AEW. And I'm like, what's your favorite thing going on in AEW right now? And they're like, man, this Adam Cole and this MJF thing. And I just looked at them and I paused and I said, you do realize, that's the most WWE shit they're doing in AEW, right? Like, that's straight up some sports entertainment. Well, the MJF Jericho thing was right up there. I would have probably, because remember, they did the singing, dancing bit. So I was kind of like, but the whole stuff in general, it is sports entertainment to the T. Like that, it is Hogan, Savage, and the title is Elizabeth. It's all metaphorically the same. We saw it at the end. I love the entrance. By the way, I'm going to wink, wink, nod, nod. MJF's new jacket that he rocked on Wednesday. Kudos to the designer. But they did the tease of Cole holding the belt, MJF seeing it, and all I could hear was, it was lust in your eyes. I mean, MJF looked at him and completely snapped for a second of
oh man.
Almost kind of stop looking at my belt. Like, and he snatched it from him, and it got personal again real quick.
Oh man.
So
I gotta watch this. Okay, sorry. If you're gonna put it in, if you're gonna put it on your Savage, your Slim Jim glasses, if you're gonna tell me to put on my Slim Jim glasses and watch this, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. I saw the funniest picture the other day, and I saw it different than everybody else. Did you see that picture of a rotund Chris Jericho singing on stage? And everybody's like, God, he looks like shit. Oh God, Chris Jericho, he's let himself go. And I saw that picture and I was like, God, he's so glorious. He's still going and doing it and enjoying his life.
And here's what's funny, because we were watching Dynamite Wednesday, and he came out, and my wife actually says he's looking much better.
Yeah.
She's like, oh man, he's looking good. He's like, he's, kind of, because he does have moments when he's on tour a lot. And look, who am I to judge, right? Look, I mean, look at me. But when he's on tour and he's probably not and it's not his fault. He's probably not getting the opportunity to work out like he wants to. But he's probably drinking in a little bit, because I would be. I know me. I can't even imagine the shape I would be in if I was like in a rock band and I was on the road. Oh God. Jelly Roll or whatever his name ain't got nothing on me. I mean, I would be so much crazier. But
I would be. I'd be riding around from truck stop to truck stop, eating everything I could because of the what I'd be doing on the van.
You'd hit every Buc-ee's on the road, and you'd be.
I'm not I'm taking your word on Buc-ee's for right now, but
anyways, yeah.
Oh, but the thing is, it is the guy's a fucking rock star. He's one of the greatest sports entertainers of all time. You could paint that man yellow and have him run around in a thong. I don't give two shits. The man is a hero to me. You got a picture taken with him, and just that was your default profile picture for like 100 years.
Listen, Myron,
and
everybody,
I covet that picture.
Everybody can't be Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn is a freak of nature, the shape he's in as at his age. Because I think he's like 50 something. I don't know. Hell, I don't even know how old Billy Gunn is at this point. But he's a freak of nature. I mean, and it's so. I'm like, I think Chris Jericho looks great for his age and for his, what he. I'm like, look, whatever. But when Rachel even said, "Oh, he's looking like he's getting back in really good shape," and I was like, "Well, I always thought he's in pretty good shape," but I get what you're saying, right?
I've got pictures of my kids that I would trade for a picture with Chris Jericho. Okay, I ain't gonna lie, and I've always been jealous of that picture. I'm sorry. He's such a large part of the entertainment, the good part, and I saw LA Knight almost do a people's elbow Friday night. And you know what? I didn't give a damn. You know why? Because he is, whatever you want to call it, he's cosplaying. He's recreating a part of my life where wrestling was good and I was happy. And he's bringing back happy memories. So I don't care. If Chris Jericho wants to be a round guy on stage singing rock and roll, he's bringing back happy memories. I don't care. Okay?
Yeah.
I love all these guys. And MJF is going to be the next upcoming guy because he's so identifiable to wrestling fans my age.
I do want to ask you before we move on, though, is I do want to ask you that the whole thing going on with MJF and Adam Cole, one of the things that I look at, because his contract's up at the end of this year. Now, I still firmly believe MJF is not going to be, Tony Khan is not letting him go. He's going to back a brake strap up to keep him.
I would say he would be foolish to let MJF go, regardless of whatever it costs. That's a Vince money guy. I would give away Kenny Omega and the Bucks before I gave out MJF, because MJF is a guy you can franchise and build on. He's a franchise player. What is that? And is it which sport is it? You can name somebody a franchise player.
Franchise tag. You can do it in the NFL. Yeah.
Okay, you franchise tag MJF.
Yeah.
Everybody else you might can trade, but I would franchise tag MJF.
Yeah. I just wondered that if he thinks if he at some point, if he knows he's leaving, did he build him to? By the way, this would be super smart move by Tony. if he knew that at the end of this contract he was going to be gone, you built him to a pinnacle to essentially have him drop to Cole, who's your next guy. If he's, if Adam Cole's your next champion, that you build up and you take, that's how he beats him, and before he rides off into the sunset. I don't know, but I would be I think it's crazy to let him go, because look, the numbers show this thing with those two, which look, we all know it's coming to an end, so that is what it is. But they knocked the door of $1 million this week.
They'll get there. They'll get there. It's just they got to sell it. They've got to get people involved, and that takes time. Today, it's different than when wrestling was on TV and WWE could slope down to 2 million. They've got to build up to 2 million.
Well, they're a growing company, Hill. So, and they have to, because look, they have this great relationship, and that was the last thing I wanted to talk about.
Yes,
I heard this great thing. If you have not, and I can't stress this enough, Strictly Business every week. I mean, I pick up a ton of information on there. They had Brandon Thurston on there from WrestleNomics this week, and they had a great conversation about TV numbers and TV rights. And what I loved about it is it went a little deeper than they're up, they're down. Okay, there's more to what are the trends, what are the TV rights things look like, like what's the long term look like, is it streaming, is it all of those type of things matters. Like, and it's funny, Brandon Thurston believes that like there's probably one more cycle of increases for products for regular cable, television.
And we're just talking about television contracts.
Just television rights. Like WWE, he's like, hey, I think this one, they'll get a bump from what they were already getting. He thinks, look, AEW's got a good chance of getting a bump on their next one. But then TV, it was funny. Bischoff asked, like, there has to become a point where they're like, if you're not making, you got to make money. Like, you have to have a way to justify it. Like, what are we paying for? Like, if we're paying, $200 million a year for this show, like, what are we getting in return?
That law of diminishing returns. If you're not getting back more than you're putting into it, if the returns are going down,
but hold on, this is what I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
Because Brandon Thurston's response to some of the questions were, what people don't seem to understand is that the number of viewers in that seem to be, as he said, less important than what place you are for that night.
Yes.
Because they're starting to understand, look, there's just less people watching.
Yes. And you're trying to capture a smaller market. So percentage of market is less important than your gross number.
If Dynamite is drawing 800,000, but they're the number one show on cable every night, is it really a bad thing?
Well, consider only 32 million people tuned in.
Right.
That was divided over all of the television networks.
Right.
So 800,000 might be the largest number of people who tuned in to any one thing when you think about it. So who knows? Wrestling has presented itself, though, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writer's Strike, to me, and the fact that wrestling was, okay, we'll jump to Fox Sports 1. You want us to jump? We're flexible. We'll do what you need us to do. You want to put on women's soccer? Watch some women's soccer. We'll move over here. No big deal. Flexibility and the ability to create content in any situation, to me, makes wrestling more valuable than any other programming.
And the driving dominant force is live sports. That's where I wanted to go. So live sports is the driving force, it seems like, to everything. Because look, when streaming services, Amazon, got involved trying to get football, so forth and so on, the last sport that's coming up is the NBA. And believe it or not, great year, by the way, for them to uptick in their trend this past season. Like, the playoffs were up, so hey, they got lucky that they're on an upswing when it's time to start negotiating a contract.
Yeah, definitely.
It's why does Nick care about the NBA at all? And the thing that you learned is that the NBA matters because Turner has a huge investment. TBS, TNT, they have a huge, TNT specifically has a huge, investment into NBA. When these contract negotiations come up, one of three things is going to happen. TNT is going to decide it doesn't matter what it costs. We're the home of the NBA on TNT show. That's one of their best drawing shows. It's, basketball's king on their channel. They're going to make that investment, and they're just going to keep rolling. How does that affect AEW? I don't know that it does. I think they just kind of keep rolling. 2, if they lose the NBA and they get outbid by ESPN, ABC, I don't know. Pick it, any network.
Well, there's a million networks now. It's hard.
Sure.
I mean, and it's also hard to know where the money's coming from because all things are owned by 2 or 3 media companies. When you
who's to argue that Amazon doesn't come along and they because they did it with football and they go, hey, we're going to buy the big chunk of the NBA and we're going to be the home of the NBA.
Or they maybe just buy 1 game a week
or something. Who knows? The reason that matters is because if TNT loses the NBA, one school of thought is it frees up all of this cash that they could go in and they go, hey, we could make AEW a priority and they could get more money because now AEW is the most important property they have. That's a good train of thought, right? Or there's a school of thought of if they lose the NBA, and we discussed this on prior episodes, you have programming directors of networks where they go, look, if we're losing the basketball, we just need to rebrand our network. It happens.
Dun, 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 dun.
They might decide, because do you remember when they were TNT is for drama?
Yeah.
And it was Law and Order. It was, pick a drama, and that was what they were running.
Murders all
whatever
day long.
They could just decide we're out of the live sports business, period. And that would be bad for AEW. I think they stay there because, by the way, I still believe they own a piece of the company. So therefore, it would be a terrible decision to let them go. Yeah. But you never know.
I think they, because they own a piece of the company, or because Bleacher Report owns a piece of the company, they're not, and they own Bleacher Report. It's all complicated because it's privately traded, so I don't know all the answers.
Well, it's a privately held company. They don't have to disclose anything. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know all the answers. I think it's just gonna be a wait and see thing.
Yeah.
When the first company figures out how to offer sports over Facebook or Twitter, and find out how to revenue stream it, that's when we're going to see a big change in the marketplace. Imagine like logging onto your Facebook account and being able to check a NBA game.
That's it. YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah. I watch my TV through YouTube. I have the YouTube TV, but it's the interface, not that different than regular YouTube. So it's getting easier, folks. One day it's all going to be one website, and who the hell knows who's going to own it?
Somebody, that's for sure, right? Well, look, man. Look, speaking of YouTube, before we get out of here, we always remind you, sign up over on our YouTube channel, youtube.com, Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, Tapped Out Podcast Network. Remember, man, it's a broken record, right? Like it, subscribe to it, turn your notifications on. Become a member, especially. That's always the fun thing. Like I said, we're going to get those, the articles, all that stuff that the Midnight Rider's putting out now. Get the show early, that kind of stuff. And, I got something we worked on last night. We talked to somebody. I'm going to keep it all quiet for now. When we get that will also be released. I'm going to start stepping up our game a little bit and getting... But also, if you're a podcast listener, make sure you're checking us out on all of the podcast platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, anywhere and everywhere. We greatly appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star rating and review because, hey, that's letting you know that you support the show no matter what, right?
We love it. We love y'all. We love putting this content out. It has probably been the most rewarding hobby we've ever had because of the people that come up and talk to us. I met a nice young man the other night at Southern Fried. People talk. Thank you. Thank y'all for making this such a wonderful, wonderful thing. This experience has been terrific.
That's right, man. We made some great friends. Look, reconnected through Ted through it. Look, Mason last night. Mason's a trip. I love seeing Mason when
Yeah.
we're out at shows. He just cracks me up. He's so into it. And again, I always say, if you want to watch wrestling and you want to get out of your own brain and about trying to be a critic and whatever, watch wrestling through the eyes of a child. Oh, it's the best thing in the world, man. It's the best thing in the world. So,
Yeah.
Anything else before we get out of here,
No,
Byron?
no, I just keep trying to tell people, if you ever feel like you're tired of wrestling and your TV show's not doing it for you, go take an indie show. Look on Facebook, you'll find an indie show. Yep. If you can't find an indie show, ask me. I'll help you. Somebody was asking about indie shows all over North Carolina. Like, I don't know, but I know somebody who does know, or I know a wrestler in that area.
Myron, if you're in Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, check out our buddy over at the Rob Rod Report.
Yes.
That's right, the Rob Rod Report. He puts it out every week. Basically a big, long laundry list of shows that are everywhere. I used to list it on maybe I'll go back. There was a guy who was putting out a list that I was putting it on our, putting it out there behind our paywall so people would always know where the shows are. Maybe I go back to doing that again because a lot of people do ask, and and that was a national list. It wasn't just a local list.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we start doing that as well.
It's out there. It's getting more and more popular every day.
That's right, man. Well, that's it for you, brother.
That's all I got.
What's the old saying, man? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.